of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, however you're watching, however you're following the show. We appreciate it, especially here on YouTube where you're putting a face to the voice and watching everything that I put out. Quick thanks to you guys. The support has been tremendous on YouTube. We are continuously growing. The numbers are going up. The reaction last week to Jason McIntyre coming on the podcast was just immensely profound. It was a ton of fun. I will try to start getting more key guests on the show like I did last week. I was kind of waiting for the show to kind of grow, but 2,200 subscribers and a lot of people listening. It has just been awesome. The support has been great, but you guys don't want to hear me be all sappy for 30 to 40 minutes. We have a lot of things to get to, and let's start with it after a crazy football weekend. Let's get it started right here. So yesterday, we saw the Buffalo Bills defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 30-21. Josh Allen was pretty good in this game. 12 carries, 55 yards, a touchdown, 262 yards passing, a touchdown, passer rating of 83, QBR of 82. Those two statistics cannot make less sense given the fact that they are so far away from each other. Patrick Mahomes was fine, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, threw a crucial pick to end the game. Josh Allen also had a really bad pick on fourth down, which is fourth down. What are you going to do? Granted, you probably don't want to put them up in good field position. But this Bills team just feels a little different. In years past, I would have absolutely taken the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Buffalo Bills handily in any scenario. And I know that the Bills have beaten them in the regular season before, and we saw, I think it was last year, Patrick Mahomes kind of going crybaby on everyone after a flag didn't go their way, but we all have those moments. I didn't hold it against Patrick Mahomes. You shouldn't either. Dude's a winner, although he had a bad moment, and that happens. Josh Allen is finally starting to see his final form. He's finally starting to reach his prime. And the Bills have finally surrounded him with the correct talent he needed. James Cook, Khalil Shakir has been a revelation for this team. Curtis Samuel was timely in this game. And a big play receiver in Amari Cooper who is now starting to get back. And they weren't even fully healthy. They still got guys like Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. They didn't play in this game. And still the Bills won. Now, undefeated at home this year, 5-0, the Buffalo Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs also undefeated this year at home. It just basically shows how much home field advantage not just means for the Chiefs, not just means for the Bills, but means as a whole in the playoffs. If there was a year that you were going to pick against the Kansas City Chiefs to win in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl once again, this is the year to do it. And I know it's the tired, same old narrative. The Bills beat them in the regular season. Chiefs beat them, dismantle them, end their season in the postseason. But something is just a little bit different this year. Khalil Shakir is really coming to his own. James Cook is really now a force to be reckoned with, running the football, making things tougher. Josh Allen poses a threat of being the best dual threat quarterback in the NFL, if not the best dual threat quarterback in the NFL, and potentially maybe even the best runner. Yeah, I said that. Potentially over Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson too. But with some of these extra weapons, and Joe Brady running the offense, Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman will come back, Dalton Kincaid will come back, this team just feels scary. And you look at the inverse of the Kansas City Chiefs, it's different than last year. They don't have Isaiah Pacheco right now, although he will potentially come back very soon. DeAndre Hopkins is starting to look a little bit older, like I had mentioned before. Still much better than what they had. Definitely an upgrade at receiver, but he's older. Travis Kelce. Are we sure he's going to turn into prime Travis Kelce in the playoffs? Like, we know he's done it before, but are we 1,000% sure he's going to do it again? I'm going to do it. I, for one, am going to put my money where my mouth is. I think this is the year the Buffalo Bills finally get it done. I think this is the year they not only win the Super Bowl, but take out the Kansas City Chiefs. And I understand we've had this story before with the Buffalo Bills. But it is not Josh Allen and a whole lot of nothing these days. They've got weapons everywhere on this team. Joe Brady seems to be a very good offensive coordinator, and Josh Allen is starting to hit his prime. And there is no question about it. He should 1,000% be the MVP. He is over Lamar Jackson. He is over everyone else. It's not really a conversation right now. Lamar Jackson has got to play better in bigger spots like Josh Allen has done. I expect Josh Allen to not only win the MVP, but this be the year he takes down the Kansas City Chiefs and makes it to the Super Bowl and outright wins it. So with all the reasons that I love the Bills, new weapons, Joe Brady seems legit, Sean McDermott seems like he's softened up, changed his ways just a little bit. James Cook is coming into his own, and it doesn't look like the offensive line is garbage like it has been in years past. It's almost so much so that I am taking the Buffalo Bills over the Chiefs this year in the playoffs and to make it and to represent their team in the Super Bowl or to represent their conference in the Super Bowl. It's not just what I like about the Buffalo Bills. It's what is going against the Kansas City Chiefs this year. We are now at week almost 12, and Patrick Mahomes still has not played particularly well. I still think Patrick Mahomes is elite, still think he's a great player, nothing against Mahomes. But he doesn't really have a ton of help either. DeAndre Hopkins, although I like the trade, still an older guy. And are we sure? Are we 1,000% sure Travis Kelce is really going to be that guy in the playoffs again? Another year older. This defense is obviously incredibly stout, and it's not me judging against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to make it to the AFC Conference Championship game. But I think when it comes to a team reaching the heights of where they've been over the last decade, and the Kansas City Chiefs coming down just a little bit, and not to mention, it is incredibly difficult to win a Super Bowl once, twice. There's a reason why no one has done it 3 times in a row. There's a reason why no one's won back-to-back since the New England Patriots days. It's not just me picking the Buffalo Bills to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Part of it is just me picking against the Kansas City Chiefs to do it again. It's incredibly difficult. There's been a lot of talented teams over the years, but in the NFL, sometimes you just get got. And I think this year, the Kansas City Chiefs are just going to get got. And just really quickly, I mentioned this just a second ago, but I want to harp on it once more. Josh Allen and the MVP conversation, it's over. If the Bills win 3 more games, there is no doubt in my mind this guy is the MVP, and I'm not so sure how particularly close it is. He has consistently for years carried a team on his back that, yes, this year finally has weapons, but in years past, didn't have a running game. The offensive line was just okay, shaky to say the least. Not a ton of weapons on the perimeter. Dealing with Stephon Diggs is nonsense constantly. And what did he do? Continuously prevail. Not only is this MVP deserved to go to Josh Allen, it is incredibly long overdue. I could not tell you how long for years I've been saying if we were giving the most valuable player to actually who is the most valuable player, it's Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Because no team was as reliant on one player than outside the San Francisco 49ers to Christian McCaffrey than the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. This year, it is not only deserved, it is long overdue. And you can make the argument for Lamar Jackson. Listen, I've seen the guy consistently in big scenarios, and I'm a Lamar Jackson guy. I've defended him through and through. But he's like 2-14 in games that really matter in the playoffs or against the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. Combine those 2 records, he hasn't been great. Josh Allen just shows up in big spots, and oftentimes without a weapon in sight. This year, he's got those guys, and now he is consistently doing what he does best. Potentially the best dual threat quarterback in the NFL. And if you were just looking at this season, if you were just looking at the past 2 regular seasons, Josh Allen has been the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, Mahomes, when it matters the most, MVPs, Super Bowls, he clearly is still right now the best quarterback in the NFL. But if you had never watched football before and you were just watching the last 2 seasons, there has been no one more impressive than Josh Allen. He literally runs the ball as good as he passes it. He has no weakness. You cannot expect to eliminate Josh Allen. You can only hope to limit what he does. Contain what he does. So, Buffalo Bills get a much-needed win over the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see how it goes in the playoffs, but as of right now, I do think the Buffalo Bills are the favorites in the AFC to make it to the Super Bowl. A lot of narratives coming out of the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks game, and let me throw this out there. I'm a Cardinal guy. I cover the Cardinals. When I was with Fox Sports, I covered the Cardinals. Obviously, I'm an Arizona-based show, Locked On Suns. I do all things Arizona sports. This was a fantastic week to have a bye week if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan. Just banger after banger after banger. These games were fantastic. I was using my phone. I am not a multiple TVs to watch a game guy. I'm a red zone or I'll just watch one game. And yesterday, having my phone on, watching the Chiefs-Bills game and watching the Niners and Seahawks game, it was just phenomenal. But I want to harp on this. I don't want to say I told you so, but that's a lie, Niners fans. I told you so. And it was always some sort of nonsense or bias towards me because I'm a Cardinal guy. Yeah, you know what my superpower is? I hold teams accountable. I say exactly what I think. I don't hold back. And there's oftentimes little to no bias. I knew the Niners were good last year. But I also said Brock Purdy was limited. I was right. And this year, I picked 2 teams to pull back. 2. I said 2 teams that made the playoffs the year prior that won't make it this year. Cincinnati Bengals, 4-7. San Francisco 49ers, 5-5, was still the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills on deck. And if I'm not mistaken, the Lions as well. And what happened? Both teams pulled back. But this is what you get. This is what you get when you have a team that was distracted coming into the season, contract negotiations, Brandon Ayuk wanted his money, Trent Williams held out, Christian McCaffrey, they gave him $20-something million, and then he had an Achilles injury. Just nonsense everywhere in the offseason. And now you have the pressure of this being the final year of Brock Purdy's cheap deal to finally seal the deal. While doing all that with the Super Bowl hangover, which is 1,000% a real thing that affects everyone outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the greatest quarterback of the last half decade. And potentially the greatest quarterback of all time. Granted, that's a whole different conversation. And there was a narrative out of this game that was just pure insanity. There is a large number, and growing, of Niners fans who think Kyle Shanahan needs to be fired for God knows what reason. Let me just level with 49ers fans, because oftentimes they said there's bias or whatever. If I wanted you to file, if I genuinely thought you should fire Kyle Shanahan, I would have came on here and said it. But the problem is you're looking in the wrong place. You're deflecting blame. You will blame everyone except for the actual culprit. There is a large number, a large growing community of 49ers fans who think Kyle Shanahan is the problem. Let me just tell you this, 49ers fans, to just level with you on how stupid that is, how dumb that is for blaming Kyle for everything. Just think about it like this for a second. Kyle Shanahan has gotten to the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. None of those quarterbacks right now are making the Hall of Fame. He's been to the Super Bowl with all 3 of them. And guess who he lost to? Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes twice. Arguably the best two quarterbacks of all time. And you want to fire him? Seriously, are you so drunk on success over the past decade or so that you don't understand what Kyle Shanahan has done for you? As a Cardinals fan, as someone that covers the Cardinals, let me level with you. If you fired Kyle Shanahan, I would be throwing a party for a week straight. This is the same guy that would give people fits with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. And you think he's the problem? And I don't think the Niners are going to fire Kyle Shanahan because I don't think any organization is that stupid. But let me just level with you like this. If Kyle Shanahan was out in the open market right now, would he A, become the highest paid head coach of all time? Yes. And would he B, have teams foaming at the mouth to hire him? And if that's the case, why in the hell would you fire him? And not only that, third question, who else would you hire? You're going to go get Ben Johnson? There is zero, and I mean zero, evidence out there to show that Ben Johnson is better than Kyle Shanahan. And you can't say that about a lot of head coaches. So a head coach that's gotten to the Super Bowl 3 times, 3 different quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G, and Brock Purdy. 2 of those 3 quarterbacks aren't even in the league anymore, but Matt Ryan's not going to make the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Garoppolo is a backup quarterback somewhere, and Brock Purdy is the 7th round pick, the last pick in the draft. And you think he's to blame? No. Consistently for years, Kyle Shanahan has gotten more out of less out of the quarterback position, and now Niners fans are deflecting blame onto him. 3 things. If he was fired today, how many teams would be foaming at the mouth to hire him? Would he be the highest paid head coach? Both the answer to those questions, yes. And who would you hire? Who? That would be better than Kyle Shanahan right now. And if you think the pipe dream is Ben Johnson, sure. There is zero evidence to showcase that he is a better head coach than Kyle Shanahan. So that narrative is asininely bad. And as a Cardinals fan, I hope they make that decision. They won't, but I hope they do. You know, and just moving over really quickly to the main thing I wanted to talk about. Bo Nix was amazing against the Atlanta Falcons and has finally had that moment to me, maybe over the last 2 weeks, that I was waiting for with Bo Nix. Last 2 weeks, he has really popped. 28 for 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks against a defense that's got Jesse Bates, that's got Matt Judon, that's got Raheem Mostert running the show. He's been awesome. And then on the inverse, you have Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. People are just now starting to guess what they have in Brock Purdy. Not me. I've been saying for a long time, somewhere between the 9th and 12th, 13th best quarterback in the NFL, but he's going to get paid Tua Tagovailoa money, $55 million a year. So if that's the case, that begs the question, who would you rather have over the next 5 seasons? Contract included, since that's what we did with Brock Purdy for years. Brock Purdy and his future $50+ million contract, and that's on the cheap end, Niners fans who want him to take a discount, or Bo Nix for the next 5 years, who has been mind-blowingly excellent with less talent and on a team that doesn't have a lot of draft capital. Bo Nix, at this point, looks like Brock Purdy of last year, but with less weapons and with the team with less draft capital. And if you're telling me through 11 games of Bo Nix and 4 years of Brock Purdy, 3 years starting of Brock Purdy, who I would rather have, contract included, right, Niners fans? That's what we said for years. Brock Purdy and his future $55 million deal Tua Tagovailoa contract that is actually a discount, or even $50 million a year. Or Bo Nix at his rookie deal for the next 5 seasons. 4 years plus 1, the team option. You are taking Bo Nix every day that ends in Y. And it just shows you that the Niners are heading towards quarterback and team purgatory very soon here if they don't figure out that Brock Purdy deal, because they are going to have to pay him. But if they can't get him to take a Kyler Murray-like deal, this team is in shambles. And it's not like when everyone says, well, if he takes $45 million, that's a real discount. You have to understand he's going from making less than $1 million to $45 million, and that's on the low end, which I don't think he'll take. He is going to a $45 million increase. That's what he's going to get. A $45 million pay raise. This is not the same from going from a first-round quarterback who made $25 million a year, and now they're making $45. You are going from making less than $1 million to $45 million. With all that being said, with all the things that I've seen with Bo Nix, the accuracy, the ability to win with less, huge flashes of excellence. Sean Payton has done a number with him and his contract and his age. I am taking Bo Nix every day that ends in Y over Brock Purdy right now. And it's why when you look at the Denver Broncos, you love to see where they're headed with a cheap quarterback and pretty soon loads of cap space. And then you look at the 49ers and you see where they're headed, which is quarterback purgatory. It's an interesting conversation. 49ers, they're not going to make the playoffs this year, like I originally predicted. Said it with the Cincinnati Bengals, said it with the 49ers. Doesn't matter how many times I'm right, you will still argue with me. Come on, man. All right, really quickly, I want to talk about some Colorado football. Because although everyone was very upset with me on social media when I had said it was kind of a clown show, and it was to start, now it's been different. But I was also the person that when the entire world was ragging on them for barely beating North Dakota State University, who is now the best FCS program to start their season, they beat North Dakota State University. I was the person that was like, hey, that's a pretty good win, especially for your first win of the season. You have Alabama scheduling McDonald's University and Georgia scheduling, Leonard and Rose State or whatever. The Colorado Buffaloes scheduled a real team. Scheduled the North Dakota State University Bison. The best team in the FCS, the Alabama of the FCS. And I was the person that defended them. But of course, no one ever mentions, when you were right. They only get upset with you when you're wrong, which is why I love this business. Genuinely, which is why I love this business. But now the wave for Colorado has gone on the up and up. And it's gotten a little too high. And now you know where I'm going with this. Whether it's LeBron James or celebrities or ESPN analysts trying to tell you how great Colorado is, my eyes do not deceive me. I'm not going to let you tell me how good a team is. I'll watch it, and I'll tell you how good they are. There is no reason for Colorado to be the 16th best team in the country. Their resume is not great. Now, are they much better than even I thought they were going to be this year? Of course. And Deion Sanders deserves all of that. But let's add the caveat to this. Going from one win a couple of years ago to 7, that is immaculate. That is an insane accomplishment for Deion Sanders and has shown sincerely that he can coach in this league. But we're getting a little too high on the horses of Colorado. Colorado has 0, count them 0, top 25 wins. The best team that they faced all year, you can argue, is Nebraska, and they got trounced by them on the road. They are a Hail Mary away from losing to Baylor, who isn't a great football team right now. They're a Hail Mary away from losing to Baylor and being nowhere near the college football conversation of the college football playoff. Now listen, I'm rooting for Colorado to get into the big dance because I think it is great for college football. Deion Sanders is great for college football. But I'm also going to be honest. They are nowhere near the 16th best ranked team in the country, or wherever they're going to be ranked in the college football. They should be nowhere near a potential playoff berth outside of winning the Big 12. They win the Big 12, of course, they deserve to be in. 0 top 25 wins, and are a Hail Mary away from Baylor from being exiled from this discussion as a whole. Travis Hunter is awesome. Shedeur Sanders is awesome. But we got to be honest here, guys. You don't have to continue to try to convince me how good Colorado is. I've watched football. I understand. I watch a lot of games. I've watched a lot of film. Colorado is a good team. Not a great team. And although I'm rooting for them to get in the college football playoff, they will likely get demolished by whatever team they play. They lost to K-State. Arizona State beat them. They lost to Nebraska. Nebraska doesn't seem great this year. And they're a Hail Mary away from losing to Baylor, from them not even being anywhere near the discussion of the college football playoff. Listen, they win the Big 12, of course. Not only do they have to be in, they need to be in. And it'd be fun to watch. But let's be honest. This team is more pomp, thrill, showcasing of talent. And Deion Sanders has been great. And Shedeur Sanders should be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And Travis Hunter, without a doubt in my mind, should be the Heisman. He is the Shohei Ohtani of college football. And we're still arguing who the Heisman Trophy winner should be. If you can play cornerback and wide receiver, even to a tier 1 level, but maybe not the best, yeah, you deserve to be the Heisman Trophy winner. This isn't the most valuable player. This is, for lack of a better term, the most outstanding player. And there has been no one who has been more outstanding than the Shohei Ohtani of college football than Travis Hunter. I get the Ashton Jeanties are fun, and the Dylan Gabriels are cool. But if you can play both sides of the ball without being a physical, dominating presence, Travis Hunter's not a ginormous guy, but still he's just blessed with talent to be better than everyone else. Cornerback and wide receiver, 2 of the hardest skill positions, especially cornerback, and he's dominating. That conversation is over. There is no conversation for the Heisman. Colorado could lose the next 3 games that they have to play, or whatever, the next 2 games they have to play. And they should be and Travis Hunter should be without a doubt the Heisman Trophy winner. So with all that praise, with all the praise that I'm giving Colorado, with me defending them for playing North Dakota State to start the year on Fox Sports 910, on the radio waves, in front of everyone, I said that they deserve credit for that win, not blame for only winning by 5 points. And Travis Hunter should absolutely be the MVP. And Shedeur Sanders should 1,000% be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And Deion Sanders should be getting a call from FSU yesterday to coach their team. But they still lack some talent in other areas. And their offensive line still isn't amazing. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. And their defense has been good. No top 25 wins. Losses on the road to Nebraska. A humiliating loss to Nebraska. Losses to K-State at home. Those are brutal. And with no top 25 wins, I think it's crazy that they're ranked this high. Again, if they win the Big 12, awesome. They deserve to be in. But we have to be fair about Colorado, just like how I felt like I was fair at the beginning. Credit to Deion Sanders. Credit to Shedeur Sanders. Credit to Travis Hunter. Credit to the Colorado University for taking a chance on Deion and it paying off and being the most talked about program outside of maybe Bama. But they're not an elite team right now. And they're not going to win the Big 12, in my opinion. Potentially, even if they do, even if they win the Big 12, I still think they would get smoked in the college football playoff. I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm just looking at their resume, and that's what this says. Thanks so much for tuning into the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, however you're following, however you're watching, and you sat through me rambling for 35 minutes. We appreciate that as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. Numbers continue to grow. I will be back with you guys Friday morning to recap Thursday Night Football and talk some Arizona Cardinals. Big game this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how the Cardinals do. But until then, I'm Benjamin Garcia, and it's been the Ben Garcia Show.